Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 596, recorded the weekend of April 11th. I'm your host, Patrick. I'm not going to have any guests for the news portion this week. There's not really a whole lot of news, and what there is isn't really exciting and talky. So I thought we'd just get through the news and get you back to part 3 of our review of Update 45. This week's screenshot: Tesser goes a bit overboard in Spinner of Shadows in the 458th screenshot of the week. Thanks, Tesser, for sending in this week's screenshot. Yeah, that's that's very overboard. If you don't know what this is Spinner of Shadows. And all those little shiny things on the ground are, I don't remember what they're called, but they're essences of the silver flame that's holding the spinner. Basically, each one of those is a spider that this person has killed. You need something along the lines of 32. There's a lot more than 32 there. So they've clearly spent some time bringing some spiders over into that area to kill and have some fun with. So, well done, I think. It was a choice. I hope they had fun making it. It's a nice screenshot, though. It's pretty unique. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can catch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website at DDOCast.com. DDOCast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network, and shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be next weekend, and you can stay updated by following us on our social media pages or our website, DDOCast.com, with our calendar. On the podcast this week, like I said, we'll have part 3 of our Update 45 review. So we'll be finishing that up with Samus and Strimtom. And like I said, we'll cover the news. So let's just jump into the game news for what there is. There was a second preview of Update 46 on Lamania. And you might immediately say, well, that's got to be talky bit, right? Well, it was basically just the content again. As well as a physics performance improvement, which was then given to us on a hotfix this week. So the preview, basically just the content, as well as this game improvement performance thing. There was a little bit of tweaking to some of the weapons and the loot and stuff, but there wasn't really any major things to talk about other than the content and loot itself specifically for Update 46 Preview 2. Probably will be getting that in the next week or two. I wouldn't expect it this week, but maybe the week after. The performance fix. This was given to us in a hot fix on Thursday, April 9th. And they did give us kind of an idea of what this was. So today's hot fix included a fix for an underlying issue that we believe was at least partially responsible for the client and server performance issues players have been experiencing the past few weeks. Please let us know if this fixes it. Coco Majova said he's cautiously optimistic this hotfix will provide noticeable relief to the, quote, lag issues seen by players recently. They're actively monitoring the effects it's having, and they want to compile as much relevant information as possible based on it. My understanding, based on what Cordovan was talking about last week, is it has to do with the third-party physics engine, Havoc, and kind of how that interacts with things. So hopefully this will get some major improvements. The other big note was Thelanis has been changed to the new default server. I believe it was Orion. Cordovan did say that they very seriously considered making Wayfinder the recommended world this time around, but there's a piece of the hardware environment that is somewhat scaled to Wayfinder's lower populations, so making it the default world could have had serious repercussions, and reconfiguring the hardware requirement or the hardware environment wasn't time feasible given their other priorities, game performance issues, and getting Update 46 ready. Someone said, hey, so you were seriously considering that the first thing new players should see is a server with an average of 30 to 50 players online. Are you trying to make sure there will be no single new player in DDO? And Sherry responded saying, you clearly state the reason it has not been done to this point, although the actual population is higher than that. However, yes, given the large increase they have seen from Orion, making Wayfinder the recommended world for a few weeks had the potential to bring the population much closer to the rest of the worlds, which is interesting because it indicates that a lot of people have been joining DDO, which is probably due to the initiative to make all content free, and that's great. More people, we love more people. Please come play with us. And to all the power gamers out there, please try not to scare them away. Remember, these people will help keep the game going for longer. This is good. Help catch them up as best as you can. Bonus days through the weekend. You can get a plus 25% challenge rewards boost now through April 12th. The sales for the week are Improve Your Character, 20% off of select stat and skill tomes, tomes of heroic and epic learning, the Harper Agent Enhancement Tree, now through April 16th. Hey, if you're willing to spend money on the hardcore server and you're struggling to get up to level 20, or you want a little bit more bang for your buck on getting Reaper XP, you could buy a Tome of Learning. That'll help get you there. Just remember, it's stuck on that character, and it's an investment, so sunk cost. Buyer beware. The weekly coupon code is 5 potions of haste. The coupon code can't stop, also through April 16th. And there you go. That's the news. So we'll jump into community news, which basically just brings us the Chronicle, the 377th Chronicle. Community spotlights. Jing brings cosplay to his DDO characters, so you can check that out. We got a shout out for our upcoming episode for D&D Net on DDO Stream. That is my D&D Kasplat group with the Damsels and Rent and Tay and some other folks. No Bob, Draculetta. Get all the names out there. So that will air Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern on D&D Night. Every Sunday, most Sundays, 7 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/DDO Stream. We have D&D Night. Through Fantasy Grounds, our sponsor. It's a virtual tabletop. We have a lot of fun. This is a recorded show that we did a little while back. That group is kind of moving towards a recorded situation just because Sunday, well, at least before COVID-19, Sunday was no longer a really great night for most people. So we're trying to get more people involved by doing it recording. The Guild Hall for the week. This week's Guild's Hall is also Player Spotlight, since we received the following. Someone would like to shine a light on Hakuna Matata and the rest of the beacons from the marauding horde on Solana, who have been bringing people from different servers and guilds together with an ever-growing Discord community. From a hub of jibber-jabber to a whole week of activities including new and legacy raids, they even provide help and a refuge for those stuck inside during this time. So there you go. Sounds like they're doing great work. The comment for the week. What kind of hat does DDO need? I'm going to say, if you've seen, I think it's a bowler hat, but if you've seen the movie, I can't even think of the name of it now. Rene Russo and Pierce Brosnan and Thomas Crown Affair. There we go. There's a scene where a piece of art is stolen, and there's a whole bunch of guys running around with baller hats and briefcases and causing all sorts of confusion. And that's just a really fun scene. So I think that would be a good hat. And I think the style almost fits in DDO. So that's what I'm going with. Alternatively, there is a quest, The Missing, where someone is wearing a beholder as a hat. So, that could be fun. Fansite news. DDOCast continues its review of Update 45 and delves into the news with guest Cordovan. It was our show last week. If you want a little bit more information about kind of some behind the scenes and how SSG is doing during this time, and you haven't listened to that show, I would point you that direction. DDO Players News talked Sleeping Pigs and XP in their show this week. Telwyn goes on a Red Fens adventure, so you can read about that. Mickey continued her rating blog with week 167. DDO Stream is a great place to find DDO streamers on Twitch. This week's features are Psycho Blonde visiting Lamania, Alex and Lynn visiting the Borderlands, and Brighter Days Ahead tonight do a bunch of questing. Some Twitch shoutouts: Nubacabra, Speed Levels, Pantheon Plus runs in Cerulean Hills, and Izuki X takes the hardcore challenge. That is the guy that has currently, assuming he is still alive at the time you're listening to this, the most Reaper XP on the hardcore server. Last I checked, I think he was at or near 600,000 Reaper XP, so he's cruising along there. He's also, I think, helping a lot of people out get that Reaper XP in Epics if you are brave enough to go up to that level. Pro tip, things hit hard up there. Don't get hit. Over on YouTube, Strimtom ran hardcore Voodoo Spice solo Temple of the Deathworm. Very nice. That is a hard raid to solo because there's a mechanic that requires people to be in two places at once. I'm assuming he used his druid pet to satisfy the requirements of that, which is pretty impressive. And then Dirty William also ran a Sunday static group. And let's talk shop this week. All dungeons and raids are free through April 30th. Just a reminder about that. Cordovan's still running his weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream. I hung out with him a little bit this week, actually, on Kyber. I believe he's going to start Lona next. And Lamania recently offered a new look at Update 46, which we talked about. Like I said, it was just they have release notes, and those release notes were essentially here's the quests and here's the name loot, and some other kind of fixie stuff. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff. Just some name stuff and nothing really fun or interestingly new. I didn't think. Maybe there was some fixes to some divine character favorite weapon stuff. But let's see. That kind of covers all of that news. Some DDOCast news. We did restart DDOCast this last week, so we'll be doing that for the foreseeable future. We had intended to not be going for a while because of baseball season, which because of COVID-19 is not currently happening, unfortunately. But we'll be doing DDOCast for the foreseeable future until things kind of get sorted out with that. And of course, DDOCast will still be going each week. That'll take us to Lightning Post. Did have someone write in Elonwe. One of these days I'll pronounce that name maybe correctly. Ronan said, thanks, good show, for our show last week. That in support of chain and rewards lists with some, not all, named items. He says, targeting any particular quest to farm for a particular item in both Catacombs and Delara's chains are incredibly difficult without an opener because of the way the chains move forward from one quest to the next without separate quest givers. Yeah, that's a major problem. You can window farm it, but that's not actually intended behavior. You're not supposed to be able to window farm. They kind of gloss over that as long as it's not involving a raid usually. But I believe that is technically considered an exploit. But yeah, it kind of highlights one of the reasons we were talking about this. He also says at least one quest in Catacombs doesn't even have an end chest. Yeah. And without a chance at named items or ingredients or significant renown, there's no functional difference or even a need for an end chain reward. It is a visible letdown to get an end chain reward that is no different from any regular quest reward. Yeah, I agree to that. Also, the Delara's reward is now very boring. Do you want an epic voice or normal voice or maybe some renown? Those are your only options. It's just there's nothing fun there. So it'd be nice if they kind of expanded that a little bit, did a little work there. I agree. So that'll close out the news portion for this week. Like I said, there's not a whole lot going on to really highlight. But thanks for listening to the show. And thanks to Strimtom and Samus for joining me a couple weeks ago for Update 485 review, which we'll finish this week. Thanks to all the other contributors for DDOcast, and to Standing Stone Games at Wizards of the Coast, and to Cyberbears for hosting the podcast. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOcast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. again, right now I would encourage you to find a neighbor or a program, maybe an arts organization, or just there's a lot of people that are hurting. We're doing fine at DDOCast. But there's a lot of great places that you can give some money if you have some to be generous with in this time of need. If you have a DDO themed webpage or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, you can email me at ddocast@gmail.com. We'll set that up for you. You can also hit us up at ddocast.com for show notes, MP3s, our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, or if you have a comment on this episode, a question you'd like to hear us answer, or a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi, leave a comment and email us at ddocast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media and follow us for the latest cast updates at DDOCast on Twitter is the best place. So, stay tuned for part 3 of our Update 45 review. A quick production note. I usually, when I do the pre-recording for this stuff, I break it and then kind of reintroduce guests and everything to kind of make it seamless. I didn't do that with this one. I tried to do the Update 45 review in 2 parts, and it became pretty clear that I needed to break the second part into a second and third part. So this is going to jump right into that conversation, and we'll repeat the outro from the week before. But we'll give you the rest of Update 45 review with Samius Gurobo and Strimtom.
Are you going to change subjects? Because we missed one. We missed Divine Might Change, which is the most butt-hurty. I hope we can say butt-hurt. The most butt-hurt comments I have gotten from all the changes. People hate this.
But it's
they are so mad.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it. I think it makes sense and it's more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I think it's interesting because it affects itemization at endgame, which is kind of neat.
That's why people seem to be so mad about it from my perspective.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings on it. I recognize that nerfs are not fun, and we're going to talk about some more here in a minute. But I would say that the reasoning that they had was very sound. If we're going to give two-handed fighting, if you take all the feats, you get 3 times your stat, and here's a clicky that adds to that stat, that functionally becomes a must-have thing, and I don't think that's good. I will always stand on the side of if every build either has this or if you don't, you're doing it wrong. I think that there's a problem with that ability.
Yep, and I agree with that.
I recognize that may mean that there's some less interesting building or gearing going on, and that it takes some power out of builds. And I'm not in favor of that. I always come back and balance that with if every build that does X needs to have Y ability or they're doing it wrong, there's a problem with Y ability.
100%. I don't think it's going to affect build diversity in the sense there's going to be less builds being played. I think it might promote some people to try different things that they might not have tried before. When I was live streaming the other day, I mentioned that in Rogue Assassin, or somebody mentioned that they use the throat dagger that silences targets. And I was like, oh, I've never used that because that just seems bad because I'm only thinking about in-game and the damage. Mm-hmm. And then a deluge of people came in the chat being like, oh, I use that ability all the time. It's amazing. And I think that making it so that everyone isn't playing the same thing all the time, we might have some more people like exploring some different options and how to play the game. It was weird seeing almost every DPS build having a level of favorite soul. And now that that's not the same, I think it's a positive thing.
And it's not that those things don't still have value either, right? Like you can minimize some gearing and stuff, and use his ability instead, or you can do it through gearing. So, is there anything else you want to say about that one, Samus?
No, I just felt like it was one of the things that I personally on my streams and the people who hang out with me, it's really affected them in a meaningful way, to where I bet there was 2 weeks of complaining on my stream about this. And I was just like, makes it all consistent. What do you want me to say about it? Like, we want you to feel outraged for us. I'm like, I don't care. Like, yeah, so everybody wears the same gear set, and now the people had to do this thing instead to get the stacking thing, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't care. I'm sorry that the DPS people take a 5% decrease. You know how many times I've been nerfed? I have to consistently look at the line. Game change may change online. Gameplay may change online. I have to think about that all the time. How many times has Firewall been nerfed over the years? How many times has Finger of Death been nerfed over the years? Well, the Banshee, etc. I just didn't care. But the people who cared were so outraged. I had so many people tell me they were going to quit the game forever. I'm like, no, you're not. Shut up. Stop. That's a bluff they're calling.
I'm going to quit the game because Divine Might isn't the same anymore.
Oh, they were like, oh, my game DPS is so much worse. And I'm just like, whatever. Roll with the punches like the rest of us.
I think it comes from a difference of what's important to the people when they play the game. If my value in playing this game comes from a point of I am the strongest or one of the strongest, I'm one of the bestest, and then you nerfed that build that was one of the bestest, that diminishes the value of me playing the game, and that's when you get people reacting like that, as opposed to a point of view of the value in playing this game is having fun and being challenged and adapting to changes and new challenges. Then it's like, okay, well, that's changing. Great. Here's how I'm going to change too. So
I'm going to preemptively give you a round of applause for the segue you just delivered. Continue.
Let's talk about the deity feat changes briefly, which I think is just a win all around. If you don't know what we're talking about with this, you pick whatever deity you're going to be, and then at the levels where you would get a feat, or you would previously had to pick a feat, it basically auto-grants and applies to all of them. The big one here being if you want to change your deity, you can do it with one feat swap as opposed to having to do a reincarnation.
Yes, it's much better than it was before.
And I think there's also the fun thing of you can have more than one favored weapon and get the bonuses from those feats to apply to all of your favored weapons now, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it was really weird that you would have the option in like Inquisitive to make a crossbow a favorite weapon, and then you get it, but then the bonuses for favorite weapons didn't apply.
Yeah, right.
But now you get a bunch of hit and damage, like it makes sense.
Yeah. So
I'm always pro setting things up for more options. More options, more better.
And then we got two other things to talk about. We're going to talk about the range nerfs and the changes to improve precise shot and inquisitive dice. But we're not going to talk about good idea, bad idea. We're just going to talk about how does it feel. Now that we're over the hump and we've been playing in this way for a little while, how does your gameplay feel with the different changes?
So I haven't played as an Inquisitive since Inquisitive came out because I don't really like it. I've just been playing hardcore difficulty. What I can tell you is there's no shortage of Inquisitives on hardcore, and they seem to be doing just fine. I don't know about level 30, but trust me, as a melee, you can still play. And if you were like, oh man, I missed walking into rooms and having everything dead before I can even get to it because there's Inquisitives in my party, don't worry, that's still there. They're still very good.
I don't feel like I have anything to add to that.
So, yes, that pretty much sums up hardcore.
I will say. Go ahead, Sam.
I was gonna say, JavaBot is currently an Inquisitive, just like I've been doing for my Road Most Travel series on YouTube. And I took a couple of days and I played on the regular server with the buddy bonus and whatnot. And I played him. It does feel less good than it did before, but still totally playable and totally fine.
Yeah. I will say, from a personal perspective of a bow user, I did find myself, I don't play him a whole lot these days, but I was having to make more meaningful choices between many shot and archer's focus in what I was doing, which was raiding, where I kind of spent most of my time in archer's focus anyways. But, at a certain point in the raid, I went to, oh, maybe I should go to improve precise shot. Wait. Is this going to be the right choice? Yes. Okay. Like, there was more of a thought process there, right? Which I kind of appreciated, there being more meaning between those two choices, as opposed to I'm hitting more than one thing or I'm only hitting one thing, and that being the impetus for the choice. It still kind of is, but... all right, we got one more thing, I think, to talk about here, and then we'll give a kind of a big picture look. The shared bank changes. We now have a bunch of really nice features of being able to sort your shared bank and look through stuff, which I think is fantastic. And I'm not sure there's more to say about that, but
if you they're just great.
Yeah,
get out of the way, sliced bread. Your time is done.
Yeah, these changes are great. And I don't know about you guys, maybe it's a 64-bit client, I'm not sure, but it also loads faster. Like I can take things out and put things in really quickly now, which is nice. I don't know. It's an all-around great change. I'm super happy. Especially since I've been rerolling a lot on Hardcore League, so sort by minimum level is awesome.
I do have a question, though, and I don't know if it's been resolved yet. I know there was a period where you've had to... It doesn't do the sorting until the item has... from before the change to now.
I think that's still true.
That's still a problem. I haven't done the main server yet for that reason.
Yeah, I need to find somebody to take 200 items off and then put them all back in.
Can I make a suggestion for you?
Sure, go ahead.
Do you have a hardcore character that earns some, or just make a new hardcore character and just transfer it over and use that?
Can you transfer now? I thought you had to wait till later.
You have to wait.
No, you can transfer now.
Can you transfer from hardcore now?
Yeah, the transfers have been available the whole league.
Oh, well, cool.
Nice. Well, I might just do that then.
But you can transfer from hardcore league to a new server, even if that server already has a full stable. You just can't create a new character until you have an open slot. So,
yeah, I need to take the time to go through and empty that and put it back in.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just being able to sort by name alone, just so you can find duplicate things.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even tell you how many things I probably have duplicates of.
Yeah, it happens. I am kind of hoping / wondering what it would look like to have that in the crafting storage. Like, be able to sort some stuff there a little better. I think that would be kind of nice. But we'll see. All right, so big picture. How do you guys feel about update 45?
Fantastic. It reminds me a lot about the Epic Destiny update in that it just sets up a lot of cool things in the future. So the health changes were done so that maybe if they add new health things somewhere else in the game, that's perfectly fine. And the strike through is done, so now we're gonna get new strike through items in the future. It's so good. I love it.
Probably an 8 overall. As soon as a couple of things get just a little bit more polish, I think it could probably even go up to an 8.5 or something.
Okay.
But overall, it was very successful. Obviously, Alchemist is a super high highlight, and the cherry on top are strike through and the hit point changes and stuff like that. Overall, it was pretty good. Probably one of the better ones. That's a non-pack, in my opinion.
Yeah, this update definitely... I'm trying to figure out how to grade this, right? Because there's this update definitely loses some shine from the standpoint that we didn't get new content. We got Catacombs and Delares got revamped and put into Epic. So it's not like, ooh, hey, fancy new content to go and play with. But for what it did, I think it did it generally really well. I think those revamps of those quest chains, other than I would like to see some of the named loot and the end reward list, like that came across really well. All of the mechanics changes, like I feel like when you look at the builds that we have, similar build, like tanks, we've got more options that are more equal on level footing. There's a better balance across a bunch of different builds and how they fit into the ecosystem of the game. And I think that all happened really well and pretty smoothly. And other than people being really upset about these nerfs, which I understand, but I think it does achieve the goal of putting those builds and those character types in a more even footing with everything else, which I appreciate.
Well, you have people arguing right now that Barbarian and Paladin might be like the best classes for Melee, which I'm like, what year am I in? Where am I?
Yeah. Been a while since that's been true. And that always feels like that happens, right? Like whenever they change things, there's a new flavor of the month. And in a lot of ways, that's really people coming at it from the standpoint of, okay, Barbarian and Paladin, there's maybe like a 2% difference, but by golly, I'm going to find that 2% difference and I'm going to hang my hat on it. And that's fine. Enjoy it while it lasts. In 2 months, we'll see you playing the new Archmage wizard build. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
The only issue I think I had with update 45 conceptually is that I felt like Alchemist didn't have the splash, I guess, that I was expecting. Like a lot of people were like, okay, Alchemist is cool. They played it once and then they went back to whatever they were doing. And
I don't really see it too complicated.
No, I don't think. I think that overall, Alchemist, it's not really as good as Sorcerer as a spellcaster. It's not nearly as good as any of the other healers as a healer. And Vile Chemist is just like Eldritch Knight, but worse. And you're pretty much, if you're trying to play Vile Chemist, especially as a ranged, if you're not going Inquisitive, you're running into major problems. And I feel like they had an opportunity to make more. Obviously, people will be like, well, but then it's going to be pay to win and whatever. But I don't know. I feel like the class is in a state where it could use a little bit of, like, a couple buffs to make it a little bit more exciting. You know what I mean? Sure. And that's kind of the thing that, like, when Warlock came out, there's Warlocks everywhere.
And so Alchemists are everywhere. The Alchemists are at the in-game content destroying the quests. Alchemists are currently the highest DPS in the game with the multi-battle stuff going on. Like, they are the best caster. They are the best damage. They are there. It's just people are using them to do things like Reaper 10 quests instead of everything else. But because a lot of this stuff hit where it hit, and Alchemist is such a slow burn and such a high learning curve. I don't know if I'm going to get a slight side here. There used to be a game called Falcon 4. And they used to make jokes that if you could learn to play this game, you could fly the real Falcon. But the learning curve on it was a cliff. In fact, some people say it was inverted. So instead of like going up at a curve or whatever, it would actually go backwards. It was so hard. Alchemist is like that. Alchemist is almost a straight wall of a learning curve for a lot of people. Yeah, you can get to certain plateaus and you can move on, but for it to like really excel and move to that top level, the people are just like inching up. It's to maximize everything. But once you maximize it and you reach that plateau, it is just the killer. And you take that slow burn and you add it in the fact that the hardcore server hit like 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It took all that update and shot it. And I think that was necessary. I think the timing on it was actually smart on SSG's side, because it takes all of the rebalancing that is the beauty of this update and gave us a couple of weeks to kind of like be mad about it and get used to it, and then went, "Oh, you people that are mad, here's the hardcore server," and they went, "Woo, shiny," and then they walked away. And we got reused and readjusted on the hardcore server where you had to readjust and redo anyway. So now all that cooling time or cooling off period has taken place over here on the hardcore server, and nobody cares about these other things anymore. Not really. These things are all just baked into the cake now. And the people who stayed on the live servers or the non-hardcore servers have had this growing period that, normally all these top tier and hardcore players would go through at the same time. So instead of seeing your 10,000 alchemists flooding everywhere, you see those people on the hardcore server playing whatever it is to maximize whatever their goals are, which is awesome. Good for them. Keep it up. I'm glad that you're there. But at the same time, when we go back, it's going to be like 2 weeks or something, probably, or maybe a month. And then you're going to see the 10,000 alchemists everywhere, and you're going to wish that you could get away from them.
Yeah, I feel like the issue that I ran into is that I kind of wish they had like done the update, waited a month, and then loaded up hardcore, so that way people could play with the new stuff and understand it before like hardcore came out. But instead, it's like, oh, it's all at the same time.
Yeah, like I said, I don't disagree. I intentionally, when people were asking me, I'm like, yeah, they'll probably give it a month, maybe 3 weeks, and they'll switch over. I think Patrick and I talked about this once before. I don't think they were 100% like planning to go, and then someone like realized that this was a way to fix all the problems, and it seemed like hardcore went, stay tuned, we're going to announce some changes to hardcore. Day, here's the hardcore.
Yeah. It was abrupt. It was very abrupt.
So I think it was like somebody had the really good idea of like, let's throw the upset people this massive bone, give them the opportunity to wash out all their feel bads, and come back to the live servers and just be okay with everything, which was brilliant, because this was such a key pack for rebalancing the game and opening up decisions for people. Because again, like you said, there was the best and then there was nothing. And now what used to be the old nothings have a chance to fight again for being the best. And there's arguments again for the first time in forever. Do I need this gear set? Do I have to have this ability? Can I get away with this build instead of this build? Can I still play my Sork? Do I have to play the new Alchemist? Like, these decisions are things that didn't exist, before this update. And it's actually pretty great. Even if you don't consider adding a new class like the best thing that you can do for content, which I do. Because all I do is play new class.
Especially when, and I think we got to keep this in mind, when you add a new class or a new race, the biggest question I always have is, how is this going to play differently? And I think they achieved a different class. It plays differently than anything else we already have. So, all right, with that, thanks for listening. You can join us next time. We'll have a new topic. And I want to thank my guest, Samus. Plug your stuff, man.
I can do that. There's 2 things I'm good at: plugging myself and making bad jokes. So, twitch.tv/Samius Gurobo or youtube.com/Samius Gurobo. That's Samius Gurobo. Of course, you can also find my Twitter at the same. My goal for 2020 is to increase my YouTube channel viewers and stuff like that. So I'm kind of focusing on putting extra content out there. And I would really appreciate if everyone could go out there and subscribe to that channel, watch a video or something. That would be really good. Or better yet, do some sort of comments. I'm sure everybody out here who does YouTube, which is all 3 of us, would really appreciate if you could interact with our stuff a little bit.
Politely, please.
Well, I mean, I'll take what I can get. I don't care. Interaction is interaction.
Samus likes it rough.
Didn't realize this was this kind of stream. But yeah, please hit those things. I've been working on quest guides from level 1 to 20, which seems to be the thing that people are really appreciating right now. So if you have questions on a quest and you'd like to see how it's done, any tips or tricks or whatever I've learned over the 13 years of playing DDO, I'm trying to throw those in there. So yeah, please check those things out. I do live stream to both YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. So if there are people who can't watch Twitch at work, but they can watch YouTube or whatever, that gives you an opportunity to be part of the stream. And of course, I stream Monday through Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays during the day I stream DDO, and every night I stream DDO. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays I started doing this thing where I'm playing like vintage video games with my kid. Right now we're playing Monster Rancher 2. And so that's a lot of fun. Even for those of you who don't like DDO, maybe you might check that out and suggest some older games. We've set things up. We'll probably bust out like Star Fox at some point. We'll probably break out like old Sega games at some point. But yeah, so as long as we can make that happen Tuesdays and Thursdays, please check it out.
Yeah. Strimtom?
Yeah, so I stream on Twitch and I also upload YouTube videos. So please go check me out if you're interested in cool, fun DDO content and character guides. But yeah, don't subscribe if you're watching my channel. Instead, take the money and donate to like any charity organizations or anything, or get in contact with like some friends. Make sure you take the time to like phone friends or people you don't usually talk to make sure people are okay in this uncertain time. Yeah, and your grandparents, if you have the time and stuff, think about the little things you can do for other people. So watch the content, but don't subscribe. Go spend the money on things that are more important right now. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
I have one more thing before you out of here, Patrick. Because this month they have all the packs for free and whatnot. Now's a great time to get your friends addicted to DDO. I've got 2 or 3 people. In fact, I'm getting messages right now on Facebook from them that I just talked them into re-downloading the game because people are locked in their houses and they don't have anything else to do. Get on a Discord server, get with your friends. The content's all there. Roll up new characters, run through the game with them, re-experience the game through their eyes, help them get the favors so they can unlock things. Use your experience and your knowledge to be like, all right, well, now you want to get this or now you want to get that, to just kind of like help smooth out the rough spots, maybe help with some plat or some little items or whatever. But give yourself the opportunity right now, when everything's free, to get that new blood in. I think you'll enjoy it more long term, and it'll give you that social interaction that you've been craving, being locked in your apartments or basements or under the dungeons, wherever terrible places you're trapped.
Yeah, it's a great point. Thank you. And to dovetail off of that and what Strimtom was saying, hey, if you'd like to support the show, this month we'd say go support a charity, an arts organization, your neighbors, anything like that you can to help get through this pandemic. And we just like to say that we hope that you're safe, we hope that you're healthy, and if you're not, we hope you get there soon. You can also find us on social media for follow us latest cast updates. I'm at DDOCast on Twitter. You guys want to give a shout out for your Twitter's handles?
Sure, I'm at Strimtom. Wait, no, that's that. I'm at Samius Gurobo.
Yeah, and I think I'm at Strimtom. I don't know. I've been getting suspicious. Apparently, attempts to try to use my account. So if you see me tweeting weird stuff, it's probably me. I'm just drinking.
Like puns, bad puns.
Great pun.
When you see those bad puns, click the link.
Definitely if you'd like to join the discussion, you can leave a comment or you can email us at DDOCast@gmail.com. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to gather for buffs.